All right, everybody. We've got a very special guest for y'all. Please welcome to the show, PJ Curling. Welcome, PJ.
Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It is your first time. We're going to talk about Taking Out the Dead #1 pretty soon here, but we have to do the first timer gauntlet of giving us your origin story in comics. You know how you came about writing and stuff like that. So
Better remember that first comic you ever bought.
Yeah, if you did buy a comic, some people don't buy comics.
One.
What was it?
Spawn #1.
Oh wow!
Oh,
okay.
He actually remembers it there.
Yeah, I think I have the first 8 of 10.
Okay.
8 of the first. I think I still have 8 of the first 10. But
Wow.
as a kid, I was a baseball card guy.
Oh, nice.
And Chris, are you in Philly, or are you just a fan of Philly sports?
I'm just a fan of Philly sports.
Okay, because I was born and raised in Philly, so like,
oh, nice.
You know, growing up as like a Phillies and Flyers fan and all that. So like, I was definitely more into sports collectibles than comics, because back then it was you either collect the baseball cards or comic books.
Right.
And I went one way. And really, I really didn't get into comics until I started thinking about this book, which is 20 years ago now.
Okay.
And you know, having severe ADHD, you know, you dip in and out of hobbies like, you know, you go through hobbies like socks. So, you know.
And as someone who's a baseball, so I'm a Red Sox fan. Sorry to tell you
I'm
that.
sorry.
But yeah. They've been having a shit season. But so how did that? Was it like, you know, the baseball card kids had their own clique, and the comic book kids, or like how did that go?
It really kind of was. It kind of was like that. Like,
yeah,
you know, there weren't too many kids on my street, but you know, the kids that I hung out with, we collected baseball cards, and then, you know, like 2 streets over, those were the comic book kids, and you know, we just there wasn't mingling of the tribes like there are now. You know, you couldn't walk, you couldn't have a foot in both worlds back then. It was
right.
You know, it was one or the other.
Yeah.
It's always so funny to me, because even to this day, you see some of that where it's like you get the people that annoy the shit out of me, the sports ball people. And yeah, in my world, it's like when I go to the comic shop, me and the owner are good friends, and I go and buy my comics, and we'll talk about what books we're reading and everything. And then the next thing is like baseball or football or something. Like,
yeah,
it's all the same world to me, man.
Yeah. I mean, you like what you like, and you know, I've never really tried to fit in a mold. You know, like I love sports, but my favorite sports are Gaelic football, soccer, hockey, rugby, baseball. You know, so like I'm not a typical sports guy. Like I cannot stand the NFL. I can't watch an American football game with a gun to my head. But like, you know, I'll watch kabaddi, which is like, you know, Indian freeze tag. Like I'll check out anything, but you know, I never wanted to really fit a mold. So I just kind of like what I like and do whatever I want.
So you're an ESPN, the Ocho kind of guy.
Yeah. That's what
that has been my nickname for several years. Yeah.
The Ocho.
Yeah.
I'm pretty interested in Indian freeze tag, though. I might look that up.
Yeah. That's awesome. Kabaddi. It's huge. It's huge in Sub-Sahara. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, you know, 20 years ago, you had this idea for the book, Taking Out the Dead. And, you know, you kind of sat on it for a little bit. You said you had some ADHD, so you were fine tuning, or how did it come about that, you know, you wanted to put this Kickstarter out this year?
So in November of 22, my mom passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And in the process of like not processing her passing, I sat down, I started writing this story again. You know, and it's a story that, like, you know, I'll come back to every couple months, every couple years. I'll sit down, I'll just write a version of it. And this time I got 8 really good pages that I was happy with. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Chris, who's the editor on the book. And Chris had a relationship with my mom. My mom really considered Chris her other son. And we were talking one day, and I said, hey, I started writing that zombie thing again. And he said, well, what do we need to get it done? Because we were both kind of in that headspace of like, you know, really understanding that mortality is a thing, and finite timelines, and just get things done, kind of that mindset. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to ask you, but I need money, because I'm a writer and not an artist, and it's a comic book, which is an artist's medium. So he paid for the first 8 pages and the cover out of pocket.
Wow.
And I just started fine tuning the script, and we found our artist and our letterer on Reddit, sent them the pages. They came back and were beyond what I could have hoped for. I'm so happy with the way the art's turned out so far. And, every step of the way, we just got encouragement. And then, once we had the 8 pages done, we decided it was time to get the Kickstarter rolling.
That's awesome. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, there's also another member of your team that I am a big fan of, which is your cover artist. How'd you hook up with Patrick?
I'm a big fan of Granite State Punk. And looking at his art, you look at it and you're like, that guy can definitely draw zombies.
Oh yeah.
And I just reached out to him and was like, hey, I've got this story, I've got this comic that's going up on Kickstarter, what's your rate for a cover? And he came back with a really reasonable quote.
That's awesome.
Simple as that.
Yeah, we're big fans of that book too. Granite State Punk's really good.
Yeah, he told me that they finished up the art on it not too long ago, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Q4 is coming out soon, so
yeah, we can't wait for that.
I think Travis just launched a Kickstarter for it, so that's up.
Yeah, we may or may not have an interview coming up with him. At some point.
Seems like I'm a couple weeks ahead of him on all the interviews I do. That's been the running theme. It's like, yeah, we got Travis coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah. He usually, if he's going to one, you want to be there too.
The man gets around. Yeah.
He gets around. Yeah, and it shows. I mean, all his stuff is funded in, pretty quick time. And for you, I mean, you have almost, we're at 8 days to go. You're at 1,000 out of 5,000. But let's talk about the book, I guess. So what is Taking Out the Dead? If you want to just give a lowdown.
It's an action story with zombies.
Okay.
I'm not. It's not like an homage to the zombie genre. It's not. It's not trying to redo Dawn of the Dead or The Walking. It's not trying to redo the zombie thing. It's an action story with zombies, and really at the heart of it, it's about 8 people trying to maintain their humanity in inhumane times. The first, hopefully we get to tell a lot of stories in this world, and the first one we're trying to tell, it's a family reunion story. It's about a young woman who's trying to find her brother, who she heard a rumor is still alive in Boston. And, we follow her on her journey to find her family.
Okay. So it's a more human story within a zombie setting. Right?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Okay.
How successful I am, that's, it's up for debate, I guess.
Yeah.
So you put in your bio that you're a mental health professional.
Mm-hmm.
So how much of that goes into the story and the kind of themes you're trying to tell?
I definitely think it informs the characters in a different way than if I was still working at a warehouse or whatever. It's the one character, the narrator character, Carl, who's a pirate radio DJ and narrator, and kind of the audience's window into the world. He's a character that I definitely want to take through a mental health journey, which is going to take more than one comic, and hopefully we're able to do more than one. So definitely my experience in working in mental health will inform that, and hopefully help me tell a pretty nimble story through him.
Okay. That's interesting.
Very cool.
And we could talk about Chris has got the page pulled up right now. So we have the cover A there. That's really awesome by Patrick Burmeyer there. And then you have a couple other variants, not up yet, but works in progress if you want to talk about those.
So we're going to do an 8-bit cover that's going to be done by Dr. Octorok, who's an 8-bit artist and chiptunes musician, who's been a friend of mine for 1,000 years. He just did a Kickstarter for a Beck tribute album called Sea Change.
Oh, cool.
That is just incredible. He does more music these days, but he's done a lot of 8-bit art stuff in the past, and did some videos for like College Humor in the past and stuff like that.
Cool.
And then the C cover is going to be a photo cover featuring Carl, who's based on a friend of mine who's a professional wrestler. Oh. And I basically took his wrestling gimmick and adjusted it a little bit and put him into the world. So we're doing like an 80s movie tribute type photo cover.
So we getting some zombies suplexed in this
thing? Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to suplex some zombies in the story.
The zombies will get fucked up in a variety of ways.
Nice. Powerbomb zombie. Yeah, please.
Yeah, better see at least one Stone Cold Stunner. That's all I got to say.
And you have a lot of the interior art, a few pages that are showcased, which looks fantastic. And I don't know if you want to talk about that. It's all going to be in black and white?
Yeah. I mean, financially it's just not feasible for me to do a color comic. But also one of the artists that really influenced me stylistically, like when I think about how the story looks, I kind of go back to early Becky Cloonan stuff, like when she was working with Brian Wood a lot.
Yep.
That kind of really stark, black and white, real gritty, feels like a city, really feels like a city kind of style. Really, it's really kind of the vibe that I want to go for. And also I think that, black and white kind of forces the audience to fill in a lot of the gaps. And since I'm trying to tell a very realistic feeling story, even though it has zombies, my artist can't put every possible detail in the frame. So, going black and white kind of forces the audience to fill in a lot of gaps. Like the ambulance there. Everybody knows what an ambulance looks like, but everybody pictures an ambulance a little bit differently. Color wise, design wise, it's all the same shape, but they all kind of look a little bit different from each other. So, it'll give the audience a chance to really personalize the story and make it their own.
And
that's awesome.
For people that go on and check out the campaign, what kind of things can they expect to be able to back? Like what kind of tiers, rewards, what are you offering?
So mostly it's just different versions of the comic. Obviously we've got the digital tier where you get the 32-page issue 1. There's a bullet on where you can get the 8-page preview issue. That's what Chris funded going into the campaign. We're going to have all 3 variants available as physical issues, obviously. There's a tier where for $100 you can be a zombie that we kill.
Nice.
That's it's the most popular tier right now.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And then the one that I'm kind of surprised isn't doing as well as I thought it would be is the 3.5-inch floppy disk and audio cassette tier. Cool. I'm putting together a bunch of exclusive material that'll go on a 3.5-inch floppy. And we have a band that's recording music that is inspired by the story. And we're going to release an audio cassette that's basically a demo tape of a band that exists in this world.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So those are the things that we're hoping to do.
Yeah, I would say the become a zombie for $100 is pretty cheap, people. So
right,
you got to check that out. The floppy disk and the cassette tape is like I don't see. Maybe I've seen a cassette tape one other time, but that's a pretty cool idea, and I think it's really interesting to see you doing different stuff
I
Yeah.
I actually think it's funny. A thing I realized like in the past year or so. So we saw like the rise of vinyl
hmm
recently, which confuses the hell out of me because it sounds like crap, everybody. But that aside, my hatred for vinyl aside, a lot of punk bands are now releasing like special edition cassette tapes again because that was like
Yeah.
the 90s
that's what I
era,
grew up
90s
on.
punk and
Yeah, me
everything.
too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
just a quick aside.
Yeah. I just need to I got to get a Walkman off eBay. So I can play them. No, I think those are really cool ideas. And especially like, I mean, you have the digital there for $5, which is great because I'm all digital now, and
Same.
I think it's a great idea. But getting to put yourself in a comic is always an awesome idea, and I think that's a fair price point to do that for sure.
Yeah, and I also think just to add on to that, everybody is even the physical tiers. Like we've been talking a lot about how a lot of Kickstarters the price has been going up and up and up. And you get a 32-page comic on this, plus the 0 issue, which you're only providing digitally, but still. So basically 40 pages of comics, and a physical tier is only $8. Like that's insane.
It's really good.
Yeah, and for digital, we're going to release it as a PDF and a CBZ. So
great.
you'll be able to read it on whatever you use.
That's awesome. That's very useful.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, CBZ is the way to go, I think. But
and everybody, I'm going over Dr. Rock's Dr. Octorock's page right now, and his art is insane.
Yeah.
Like you refer to it as 8-bit, but I mean pixel art is usually what I say, and it's not the 8-bit you're all thinking of, people. Like it's not like Mega Man 1 back in the day. Like, it's very, very like cool stuff. It's almost like a lot of the indie games we play now where they seem like Super Nintendo games, but in reality they would never actually run on a Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
that's the type of art he's doing.
Doc and his brother both have been doing pixel art. I met him in 96 or 97 and they were doing it then. So they've got like 30 years of experience of doing pixel art.
That's amazing.
And Doc, I've watched Doc work, and he just works so insanely quick that it doesn't make sense how fast he works. It's mind-boggling how quick he is.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's so funny. He's got these videos, and it's like the one I have playing right now. They're like a minute, 2 minutes long, but it's Street Fighter versus Madden football.
I love it. That's amazing.
He did. I think the first time he kind of went viral, he did. Do you remember Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog?
Yes. Yep.
He did a Nintendo, like an NES style version of that just exploded, and I'm pretty sure like a bunch of the Whedon people saw it and were really impressed. And
oh wow,
yeah. So he's
awesome.
A talented dude.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
This is good. Yeah, everybody should check out his stuff on there. And I'm curious too. You put in here that they're works in progress. Have you seen what they're going to be, and will they be available before the end of the campaign for people to check out?
I mean, honestly, looking at the numbers, this campaign is probably not going to be successful. So we're going to have to re-rack and try it again in the fall. They'll be done before a successful campaign is over. I've talked to Doc about what his is going to look like, and it's a pretty sick idea. And I'm just waiting to get pictures back from Carl so I can do the editing and put that one together.
Okay. Cool. Well, I still have a little bit of faith here that when this comes out, we have about a week to still back it, everybody. So for sure, I would go check it out and see what's going on there and get yourself killed as a zombie in the comic. If I could choose to be killed, I'd like to be suplexed, but that'd be nice. But yeah, is there anything you want to tell the listeners, viewers before you take off today, PJ? About the project?
No, I just want to thank you guys for giving me a chance to share my story, and hopefully sooner or later we'll get this book out so people can read it.
Awesome.
And if people want to follow you online, is there a place we can send them outside of Kickstarter?
TeamNinjaShark.com, and then Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, Team Ninja Shark.
Awesome.
And for everybody out there, you know the drill. I will have those in the show notes down below. So click those links, check out the project and all of the things that PJ is doing. And PJ, thank you so much for stopping by, man, chatting with us for a minute about your comic. We appreciate it and hope to have you back again.
Yeah,
Thanks
PJ.
All right, take care.